In the last video, I gave a diagram sort of description of the mirror world topology, what I believe is the topology that produces a knot, and what I believe that knot to be a Mobius knot. Well, like I said in the last video, I gave a diagram discussion to show the mirror world topology. And in this video, I want to give an illustrative description, but still a diagram, I guess, diagram illustration. What you see here are two, at the top are two portals cloaked from the outside. One's at a beach, one's in the desert or somewhere else. And those are the hatches that open and close. And I just put lines up there to define it more, lines that divide into hemispheres, bottom and top hemispheres, back and front. These are the open view of each of those two portals, and you can call them John and Jane. These are Televisual, Telepresent portals, and number 1 is the setup, and number 2 is the actual operation. Okay, this is a left view of this John's portal, and what you see on this side is the virtual cloaking interface, and these are the lines that, optical lines that takes the light in and sends it out the other direction all around. And this is the cloaking, the virtual form of the desert that it's in. This is a mountain range behind it, and this is the desert. And if you say that you're using John's environment, then it's connected to the real world outside. Then it goes to the virtual cloaking interface, and then into the real holodeck interface, where matter and light are combined. And then it goes into a virtual, or virtual holodeck interface, where the image is scanned in this interface, holodeck interface, real holodeck interface, and it's necessarily flipped over negative. But when it's transmitted back into Jane's real holodeck, it's flipped back positive again by the simple geometry of their connections in the transmission. And then her image in her virtual holodeck, she's in her real holodeck here. Her image is flipped over and in the opposite direction too. At the face view, she's pointing backwards. And then his image is caught up, his virtual image is caught up in her real holodeck. But if you notice, she has his holodeck background, not hers, not her own. Beside the ocean on the beach. Hers is kept in the cloaking holodeck, or the cloaking interface, and it's sent through to make her invisible in her environment, while she is in his environment that's carried over with his virtual form right here. The land is carried over with the virtual form in the sky above, and they're transmitted into her holodeck. And her real form is now a virtual form, and his virtual form is would still be a virtual form. Would still be a virtual form. His form would still be a virtual form. And her form would just become a virtual form, and hers is, and his is in their environment. It's transmitted back into his real holodeck again. And then both of them are transmitted back into her holodeck, and then back through to the virtual holodeck, to the real holodeck, to the virtual holodeck. I didn't include that last time. To the real holodeck, and to the virtual holodeck, and it's always carrying his outside world in real time to the cloaking interface, and to his real holodeck, and to his virtual holodeck. But if it was her environment, her cloaking interface would be carrying her outside world in her cloaking interface, and it would splice in two and both make her invisible and also give her her environment for him to experience. And so that's the way that Televisual, Telepresent portals work. Thanks a lot.